One.
Experimental Unit Clone Force 99. The defective clones with desirable mutations. They call themselves the Bad Batch.
Jeremiah, give us your metal face.
Come on, give us your metal face.
Come on, do it. Yeah, there it is.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another bomb bad episode of Empire Radio.
No.
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And I'm Andrew.
I always forget. I always
Yeah, you-
forget
yeah, you
every
do.
Friday that I go second, not last.
Yep. So Bad Batch, episode 7, Battle Scars.
Battle scars.
And it was a doozy.
It was what
Yep.
Jeremiah likes to say, a banger.
I don't know. I don't know if banger's a good episode. A
Some
good
people
word for
got
this
banged
episode.
around though, I can tell you that.
Oh, brr, 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 brr.
It was just
Yeah.
Wrecker. It was just Wrecker.
Right now. Anyway,
I don't know. He kind of wrecked some people himself.
I mean, he did. That's true.
but just a quick recap. If you're looking for our social media stuff, we'll be doing that at the end of the
Yeah.
episode. So we
If
had
the-
a sudden
if-
change.
If that's the reason you listen to this podcast, well,
Stay,
now you have to wait.
buckle in, because it's gonna be a little
Sorry.
bit.
It looks like you'll have to stay for the actual main portion of the show.
Or you can just click ahead and
Or
Don't- no.
okay. Whoa, whoa.
Don't enable that behavior.
well, either way we get the view count, so listen count. So
True. Either way,
But,
just do
yeah,
what you want. Do what you
so
want.
let's Andrew, let's fly on over to our discussion. No, we don't do
Said-
that on Fridays.
I didn't have it ready because I thought we were just gonna jump right in.
Well,
Huh?
okay,
There
so
you go. All right.
Battle Scars. So,
Yeah.
what were your guys' overall thoughts of this episode?
I have one thing to say,
Oh,
one statement.
One only?
Well, for right now, I mean, like I have a lot of things to say, as we talk about the episode. But I am content with saying one thing, and that is, this is now my favorite episode.
That is definitely more than one word, but yes.
No, I'm saying one thing. It was just a single statement. Come on.
Oh, okay.
That's the reason why I didn't say I'm going to say one word, because then I knew, Drew, you'd be like, that was actually 5 words. It was going to come out immediately.
Usually that's something I say.
yeah,
so,
that's not-
That's true.
that's
so
not
hats,
me.
hats off to you, Drew.
Yeah.
But
So I will say yes. For the episode 1 was my favorite. If you've been listening to the episodes so far, episode 1 has been at the top of my list, and it has been officially dethroned because of the emotional tension and depth and complexity that this episode smacked me in the face with. So that's my summary for now.
Drew,
I was really close to the tears. You can go watch the watch party. Let's just say I'm gonna say one statement.
Okay. All right.
I've been waiting 6 weeks for this episode. And that's
we all have been.
And
We
that's
all-
all-
Wait. I have one more thing to say.
Oh.
Sorry.
one more thing or another statement.
I feel like that would be the same thing
Okay, anyway, go
at this
ahead.
point. I would like to say
Oh, we called it?
a very
Did you want to say
a very
that?
gentle, a very respectful I told you so. I can't even say it. I'm so excited. I told you so.
Andrew, can we
Because
get an
no
air
one
high
believed-
five?
No one believed that it was your boy Rex.
I
It's
did. I did.
No one said we didn't believe. We just had
Jeremiah,
different
you were like,
theories.
no, it can't be Rex. It can't be Rex.
I said there's more evidence pointing to a different thing. You said Rex, and you said you had no evidence for it. You just
What?
wanted it to be.
I made a good statement of how
Actually,
this
we
could
both
have
argued it
bid.
pretty well because
May-
of the Martez
may-
sisters. But
yeah.
anyways,
Maybe you have to go back to last week's episode and
I'll-
listen.
I
All I
remember a lot
know-
of small little details about life. That was one of them.
all I know is I remember saying he could have just had a cloak over his armor, and somebody was like, "Nah, that's probably not the case." And then all I'm saying,
Cheers, Andrews.
this might be the only time I'm ever right about something.
This is
like
the only time that
So,
Andrews takes the dub. And Andrews, we did it. It took this long. Normally
hey,
Jeremiah
did you
calls
just
it.
steal my victory?
No, I said it too. I actually said it too. We both agreed it was Rex.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So it's
Andrew-
Andrews with an S.
Andrews win.
So Jeremiah.
Flex, but okay. So I really loved this episode too. Super emotional, super teary-eyed type of.
Did you cry?
I got a little. I didn't cry. A little like.
You were like,
I was like, if someone was sitting next to me and they started to cry, I probably would have lost it. But
Dang.
but I get a little like misty-eyed.
maybe
Oh, I
she.
cried.
Maybe you should watch it with me on the watch party and go back, and then you would cry because I almost cried, and then that might have
No.
fixed your. Okay, well, I tried.
Just flat out.
Okay.
No.
Well,
No, I don't got time for that. Sorry.
okay.
But yes, there's a lot in this episode. Crazy that 2 Darth Revens showed up at the end, but we'll get to that.
Dude, right? And
Right.
Tex, Rex's brother? I never thought they were going to add him in.
Anyway,
what?
Okay, so, I'm sorry. You had
What? I missed something, and I was.
it was a Discord conversation from earlier.
Oh, I haven't seen anything in
I
Discord
know,
today.
I know.
So.
We had this running thing. One of our Discord members, for those of you in the Discord, it was Riley. For everyone else, just one of our Discord members that we love dearly. And I was on Discord. It was like midday, maybe mid-afternoon or something like that. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm starting to watch the episode." And then me and another member, David, just started throwing out bogus things. Like, oh man, I can't believe that Ahsoka showed up. I mean, it was basically, Drew, it was basically the same thing I was doing to you last week during the watch party, but we were doing it on Discord. And one of the things that I said was, oh yeah, that actually wasn't Rex. It was Tex, Rex's brother.
okay.
And it doesn't
Well.
matter. You had to have been there. It's fine.
Or not, because that's mean. You're being hurtful.
Oh.
Because
Why
you
am I
did that
being
to me
hurtful?
last week, and my emotions were all over the place for no reason at all. And yeah, and this week my emotions were all over the place for other reasons that we're gonna talk about right now. So, Andrew, your thoughts overall, or did we just do that by just saying that?
We just.
Okay, never
that's
mind.
what we-
All right.
I was
That's-
kind of in the middle of my.
I
thoughts, but-
appreciate the confidence though, Drew. You were in it to win it for that.
I
That was
tried to
good.
transition, but we already did it. But
But anyway.
Jeremiah, finish what you were saying.
I think that for this episode, there's a ton of minor details that can be easily missed. I'm sure there's like 1,000 things I've missed in this episode because there's a lot of things I saw and stuff. I'm like, a lot of people aren't going to notice that, or most people aren't going to see this or something. But like, it's a jam-packed episode, and so I'm kind of looking forward to looking at the Discord about discussion today on the episode, see what people caught too. But let's jump into our scene by scene analysis. So, in classic Star Wars fashion, the hyperdrive is not online.
Always.
It's just if you're in Star Wars, your hyperdrive is not working half the time. So they just stole an armadillo from someone, and they're just being
Armadillo
chased.
lizard. They kept saying lizard or reptile.
Something.
Didn't they say reptile or
They
lizard?
said add a few things, but
Yeah,
but Omega named it Ruby, I think.
something like that.
Ruby, and so it escapes, and it's like I thought it was gonna like be more dangerous than this armadillo, but it got out of his cage, whatever. Omega captures it, and then they punch it to hyperdrive, and they escape.
I really enjoyed the beginning of this episode because I was like, did I miss an episode? Like I was so lost for like the first like 5 seconds. before they explain that they just got done with another mission, you know? Because it just like jumped in. I'm like, who's shooting them? One. And I'm like, did I miss something? Is this a 2-part episode? And I jumped to the last part. Like I was kind of like confused for like 5 seconds.
I liked that because about the time that I was like, something weird is going on here. Echo was like, he explained it indirectly,
Yeah.
without outwardly coming out and being like, "This is what you missed," and I was like, "Oh, that was clever. Good job, Dave."
Yeah, I thought it was really smooth, and it gave us more content that they're doing multiple missions. So like
Yeah,
this, like they could have done 3 before
Oh.
someone showed up, but
Not to jump too far ahead, but when Sid was giving the bill of the money owed, and it was all the money for that popcorn that she got billed for. It was, if you do the math of their price and the cost, it was 20 cartons, which would have been, if they each got 2, or they got 2, one for
that's
Omega,
10
one for Wrecker,
missions.
that's 10 missions that she got billed for. So that's the 2 that we've seen, which they wouldn't have gotten popcorn for. These 10, and then they just finished number 11. So I think they've done 13 missions altogether.
did you do that math
Yes?
Of course they did.
unprovoked?
Yes.
Props.
Who would provoke me? None of you messaged me. Hey, can you do the math on that? How many missions did they do? Like,
We all know Tanner
Well,
did it, but it's
I
okay.
didn't know if you had like watched a YouTube video and they had mentioned that.
Oh,
because Sid said how much they owed for the popcorn, and then when they buy the popcorn later, the guy at the stand was like, "Okay, you owe me this much money."
mm-hmm.
So I just did the math from.
And
two
also, the
things.
only YouTube Star Wars you should be watching is Empire Radio. Andrew.
Yeah. All right. That's all I
Okay.
actually watch. Yeah.
Anyway. So you guys were saying like how they're just back in action doing all these missions, but like I was surprised that we didn't really get a reaction from Sid on the failure from last episode. Like I thought they were gonna like get back to Ord Mantell and she was gonna be pissed and like have an issue with them. Now, so like it's interesting that like she gave them more missions, even though they failed that one mission. But
Oh, she wants to get him to work up a debt.
yeah,
It's
Classic.
working.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then she has power over them.
And it was
And
a
she
debt
can make
that
money.
didn't even know about, too. That was the
Yeah,
best part.
and she can make a bigger cut of the money and not have to do any of the work.
Right.
So, I mean, I would do the same thing.
No, you
I feel
wouldn't.
I feel
You're
like
too nice.
You're too moral of a person to screw people over like that.
I appreciate that.
Oh,
I'll take it. I'll take it in stride. That's good. Thank you.
all right.
There's something we don't know about.
Anyway, okay, whatever. So yeah, they get back to Ord Mantell, give the lizard to Sid, and she's like, "I don't care what's going on with it. I don't care if they're gonna make it into a stew, if they're gonna make it a pet. I don't care." And so, whatever. And so they go back, and she is telling them again what we just mentioned about how they owe for fuel and docking and all this stuff. But that's when Wrecker and Omega are out getting their popcorn run, and I hear that popcorn you can buy at Galaxy's Edge. Is
Yep,
that
you
true,
can.
Drew?
Yep, it is. Yep.
So how many times have you had that after
Never.
like the 10 times you've been there so far?
I've only been there 3 times, and I haven't. Now, David in the chat could probably tell us if he's had it because he's been there for more than 10 times. So.
And I could technically make that for a YouTube video
Ooh.
because it's in the Galaxy's Edge cookbook is that popcorn. So
Mantel mix,
yes.
bro.
Bro, you got to now.
You should have done it this
Well,
morning.
I don't
Take
eat
off work.
I don't eat popcorn, so like I don't have any on hand. So
Go to the store.
So soon.
I have a list of
Okay.
Coruscant Cafe things
right.
already planned out. So
Well, this made the top of it. Nice.
I will say that David in the chat says it's really good, dudes. There's all different flavors. It's more like kettle corn. It looked like kettle corn.
Yeah, it kind of did look like kettle
In-
corn. It had like
yeah.
the shape of
I
it.
thought it kind of looked like all berry Captain Crunch,
Ooh.
but like bigger.
Huh.
pieces.
Also,
I can see that.
also really good. So
Yeah,
Yes.
just like the all marshmallow Lucky Charms.
I
They
hate
make those?
marshmallows, but yeah.
Oh,
I hate. Okay, we're not going into this.
Yeah, like, you mean
But
as normal marshmallows, or also, but like Lucky
I
Charms
I hate
marshmallows
Lucky
too?
Charms marshmallows.
But regular
Yes,
mar-
correct.
Okay.
you like regular marshmallows?
Correct.
Do you like s'mores?
Yeah, of course. I'm an
Okay,
American.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
America.
I don't know if that signifies anything, but all right, that's fine.
It's apple pie, baseball,
S'mores and
nothing
hot
else.
dogs.
Yep, and
Yep.
gun violence. And
Okay. Okay.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
That's
It's
not
fine.
what we're. You didn't sign up
Anyways.
for that. Here. But yes, so during these scenes, we immediately see a hooded guy sitting down. And now, the first time I saw the hooded guy, I didn't even think it was. I crossed my mind it was the person from last episode in a hologram. But then, like the second time we see him, I was like, "Oh wait, that's probably the hooded guy from last episode." And so I was like, "Okay, we're gonna see who it is." And so those two guys, the Weequay and the Ithorian.
I have something interesting that I wanted to say about them after watching I watched a video today on last week's, like a breakdown of all the Easter eggs and like references from last week's episode, and they were in the episode obviously at the beginning, and it's very interesting because they kind of give me like a Tag and Bink vibe. Like, I know they're not at the center of everything and not causing everything that's going on, but I feel like it wouldn't be a stretch to say that they have their own like hidden subplot, because here's why. They've been in a ton of these episodes so far dressed the exact same way, and they have been seen together before in season 7 of the Clone Wars. Those two guys in almost the exact same outfits were in the Black Sun prison during the Trace and Rafa and Ahsoka arc.
Really?
Yeah. So like it just
That's cool.
I feel like there's this hilarious, like, obviously they're not going to make it into a show or anything, but I'm wondering if they're going to be kind of reoccurring background characters. That would be really fun.
It would
for
be
me.
really cool if we do see them in like Obi-Wan's show or something.
Yeah.
Live action, that'd be cool.
If they become like the Snaggletooth,
Mm-hmm.
or like, one of those like kind of just off the wall like continuing cameos or something, or references,
Well,
that would be really fun.
kind of like Stan Lee and all the Marvel movies.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That'd be really
exactly.
cool.
But it's this Weequay and this Ithorian. Yeah.
I think that would be
So-
kind of funny.
I don't know. They made that connection in the video, and I was like, I didn't even realize it, but they're the same, and I'm pretty sure they're wearing the exact same outfits in season 7 of the Clone Wars too. So they're doing.
Well, cartoon
they're all-
characters don't change their clothes, so most likely.
Well, some of them do.
Padme.
Yep, she has an
Oh.
outfit for everything.
True.
Anakin did a few times. So did
Yeah.
Obi-Wan.
But they always change back to their original clothes.
That's true. That's true.
Like, for some reason, Rex still wearing his original armor and everything. And I'm like, you're gonna stick out like a sore thumb, but sure.
That's also his best chance for survival, though. Too.
True.
He could have painted it black though, or done like a cool camo design.
But he didn't.
But he
Still,
didn't.
his blue arms hanging out the side of his cloak.
Yeah,
It's not really hiding much.
it was not hiding that much.
But anyway, but
Anyways.
yes. So when the guys are in the back talking to Sid, there's the confrontation out there, and we see the two guys run out, and it's just a hooded guy, and I'm like, oh, here it is, and right when the camera goes, we see his blue and white
Yeah.
armor sticking out. Like, oh, that's Rex. Like, whatever. Okay, it's Rex. And so then he walks close and he takes off his hood, and you see his blonde hair and blonde buzzed head. And immediately Echo is the first one that says his name, like Rex, like he's surprised. And then they start talking, and he mentions that their contact was he was in contact with Trace and Rafa, and that's how he got in contact with them on Ord Mantell. And it's also said by Tech that Rex was listed as killed in action. And so it's interesting that they even looked that up. So they've been in their journeys of, escaping Camino, they were already thinking about Rex as an possible ally, but obviously that lead was cut down because they found out that he was killed in action, at least as it was listed in the system. But I thought that was just interesting and then Rex was happy that there's perks to the Empire thinking you're dead, and so
Well, it's interesting because um, it makes me believe that Vader believed the scene that had been constructed at the end of season 7. Because he goes back and he finds the wreckage of that Venator.
Well,
You know,
I mean,
ship.
I think they show us that in the end of season 7, didn't they? Yeah, they showed
Yeah,
us
same.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But they're like, Vader. Like, if anyone's going to question what he's looking at for the real meaning behind something, is him.
Yeah.
And for me, when season 7 ended, it was kind of like, I don't really know if he believes this.
Well,
Like, I don't know if he really thinks Ahsoka and Rex are dead. And it's good to know that at least the Empire at large were like, he went down with the ship. No one could have survived that. That's the real thing.
but but I'm wondering though, because it's interesting that you say that about Vader, because if I'm assuming at this point we're probably like 2 months after Order 66, maybe 3 months or something like that, and so if the Empire has already listed them as killed, like does that mean they knew the location of the crash by then? Because we were wondering like when did Vader go to the wreckage, because
it was
like
a different season, wasn't it?
it was covered in snow, and the question is like, is that because within the first couple months of the crash it was covered in snow and that's when Vader went, or was it years later? Because some people were thinking
True.
it was after when Ahsoka and Vader had that connection in Rebels, like when they sensed each other for the first time. Some people think that that's when Vader went to investigate,
Okay.
because we see Morai, the owl, flying around that wreckage, like, and so like the question is like, when is the timeline of when Vader went? And so
That's a good point.
Boom in
That
the chat
actually,
said, was that snow or ash?
it was snow, because those snow troopers.
True, it was.
they could have been
Yep.
Ash Troopers.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Well,
Probably not. But
I will tell you this. I would see it one of two ways. Most likely, one, he does go back later, like you said, after he senses Ahsoka, or the second one is that's one of the first places he goes.
right,
You know what I'm saying? Because like, who would be on his priority, like the top of his priority list, to try to confirm whether they are alive or dead? And it would be Ahsoka and probably Rex, like the two closest people.
right.
So
is
was
it
either
weird that
right
he
after
can't sense that Rex is not dead?
Well, we don't know that. But the other thing
True.
is like the only Force users. I mean, we're talking the distance of probably multiple systems away. Like even the most powerful Force users can only do so much with that.
Yeah.
The sensing. He probably has a great knowledge of what the overall dark side and the Force feels like as a cosmic force. But I doubt he would be able to pinpoint Rex, especially if it was soon after his injuries, because he would be very distracted by his suit and learning how to use the Force with that and fight in it and stuff like that. So I don't know. One way or the other, the Empire assumed he's dead.
Yeah.
So whatever he did to cover his tracks, it worked.
Right. But Omega comes in and meets Rex, which was a interesting scene. I really like, because Rex gets down on one knee to greet her, and she kind of is able to analyze his face and say, "Oh, you're a Gen 1 trooper." And I was like, "How did you know that? The lines on your face."
Which means
Now-
the wrinkles.
Well, that's the funny thing, because when she originally said that, I thought like she was implying first generation had different facial features than, because the DNA sample was degrading, like we know of, and so maybe the youngest clones are slightly different looking in the face because of the degraded DNA samples. But then it was obviously because of wrinkles and the wear and tear of his thing. But it was just interesting that she is so receptive to knowing who he was as a clone, not just a clone in general. I thought it was just interesting. But right after this is when it gets kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I was so on edge in this next scene. So Wrecker starts holding his head and is like, "Hey, I need a med pack again."
Oh yeah, I was like,
Oh, and I was like, "Oh crap!" And then the way Rex reacts was so intense. He's
Immediately.
like he senses what like his head hurts. He's holding right. Immediately he caught that,
Yeah.
and when he was when he said something like, "You guys haven't taken your chips out," and how he pulled back his cloak and
and
had some gun there.
the music was changing so much. I was like, oh, it's going down. So tense.
It was so tense. Like he was ready to kill everyone in that room.
Well, I don't know about you guys. I was thinking he was about to turn right then and there. That was my original thought.
Wrecker.
Yeah, when he was like holding his head and he was like saying all that, like, what if he would have turned right then and there? That would have. I was like, oh no, is he gonna turn right now? But yeah, it was crazy.
But it was intense. And then how he was he was pleading with Hunter about how like this is not a risk you can be willing to. You have to get these out because I've seen what it can do once because they're still under the delusion that they're immune to the effect of
Yeah.
this. But he's saying like you can't even take that risk because once those pass over, you're done. And so when Hunter, okay, like let's do this, like figures out, then that's when he, puts his cloak over his pistol and gets calm. But like, he's like, we gotta figure out how to get this out. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna figure out something out for you guys, and I'll get back to you. And so, they go to Baraka, which they stole from my fan fiction because they did that same thing. They went to Baraka.
Baraka. That's a Mortal Kombat character. Baraka is the planet.
Braca.
What did I say?
You said Baraka. Like Baraka Obama or Baraka from Mortal Kombat.
I'm not hearing two different things. What did you say?
You said Baraka. The planet's name is Baraka.
Oh, whatever. It's whatever. Baraka. That's what I have written. I have it written down. BR right in there. So whatever.
Sorry,
Baraka.
Jeremiah.
And so they stole that from my fan fiction. I can't believe that. Like,
You should sue him.
I mean,
I just want my merch site back up. So like maybe I can just.
oh,
I just want to. Hey, you stole my idea. Let me sell.
let me
on.
keep selling your idea, stealing your ideas. It's the same.
So and they go for the same reason. In my fan fiction, they go to get medical devices, and they went here for a med bay and a Star Destroyer. So
It's kind of spot on.
it's basically the same thing. But they say Omega does not have a chip, which is interesting, a minor detail. And so I don't know if you guys what.
I was gonna say I like that detail that they told us that right away, like because we didn't really know if she had a chip or not. We just knew that she had a lot of knowledge about the chip, but for them to like straight up like she doesn't have one was really cool. How did they know that she doesn't have one though?
Or she just knows herself.
Mm.
She probably just told them. But I don't know if you guys noticed this, but so all the music that moving from that when they got on Braca
Mm-hmm.
and going from when and to the point where Wrecker freaks out. But the music was basically, I think it was the same music from Clone Wars Season 7 when Order 66 happens.
Mm-hmm.
The very tense, like,
Mm-hmm.
shepherd tone.
It was so
music.
good.
It was like, I'm like, I knew it was gonna happen with Wrecker because the music was the same music, and I was like on edge the whole time. But what do you guys think of the visuals of all the wreckage and stuff?
Amazing. I can't wait to go home and watch it in 4K. It's so good.
I
No,
really
no,
liked it.
it's not a weird
gave-
flex. That's a normal flex, Jeremiah. That's just everyone has a 4K.
I
Uh,
don't have
yeah,
4K TV,
well.
sorry.
You also have a flip phone, so
Whoa, that was uncalled for. Dang,
okay,
bro,
that's fair.
dang.
My bad.
Anyway, Andrew, you were about to say something.
I was gonna say it gave me the same feeling as the first time I saw Jakku in the trailer,
Oh, true.
which was a really good feeling. Despite say what you want about the sequels, but like that scene, I was like, "There's a Star Destroyer, and it's wrecked, and then there's the X-wing, and like, I thought it was really cool because obviously those scenes of the wreckage are so full of nostalgia and potential Easter eggs. So it's just a visually exciting scene. And David in the chat also mentioned the water effects were perfect.
Yes, noticed that
Th-
too.
They did a fantastic job on the water effects for this episode, which may not be a big deal to some people, but I really appreciate good water effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like every classic Star Wars where there's water, there's something that's going to eat you.
And it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Dianoga.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what
Did you
that
know
is?
Yeah.
I did know that.
Because if you watch it with the subtitles say Dianoga roars or something, or like there's a scene. I'm serious. There's a scene where it says Dianoga, which is the same thing in the trash compactor, the same species as
Oh,
the
it
trash.
is?
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
there's a trash compactor from A New Hope.
And it was kind of greenish too. That kind of looked like the same watercolor too.
What? How does that the same animal or same creature? That doesn't. That's weird.
Okay, it's the same one because it.
Well, it's
leads
not
you
the
to believe-
exact same. It's the same creature, Jeremiah. It's not the
Right.
same
It's
one.
not the same
I-
one.
I know, but that's
Well, the trash compactor was a lot like you could go deeper into the trash compactor, so there was more underneath the surface than they were leading you to believe, and that's what they call it in a certain point of view
Mm-hmm.
for A New Hope. It's the Dianoga.
oh.
It's one of those
Okay.
things that like if you go Google a picture of it, it's got the eye, and then it's just like, and it gets super big under the water, and it's got tentacles and stuff.
Did we see the eye? If
No.
we freeze framed it or anything?
No,
Not-
we just saw it in A New Hope, but we didn't see it.
So okay, but my question was then, was the monster the same monster as in Mandalorian season 2, episode 3? When Baby Yoda gets eaten by it, is that the same monster?
I would wager that there were a lot of monsters that
No.
have big mouths and tentacles.
I don't think so because they
I don't
say
think
it.
so.
They call it, but it did kind of look like that, didn't it?
I was because the same kind of mouth where it was surrounded by teeth or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I thought it was like, was it the
The
same?
Sarlacc pit has the same sort of mouth too. Right?
It's similar, yeah.
Similar.
Chat, help us out.
I mean, there's a lot of similarities if you think about large circular mouths with teeth and tentacles. Like you can essentially apply it to like any number of pop culture references.
well,
that
a
are
lot.
sci-fi
All
related.
mouths have. Well, not all mouths, but most mouths have teeth. So.
Yeah, but I do know that in the subtitles it is specifically mentioned that it's a Dianoga. So that's all. It's just a nice Easter egg to half of Jeremiah's favorite movie.
Which I think at this half you liked it, so you
Yeah,
probably
no, he
seen
liked it at
this
this point.
half. Yeah.
The
No,
trash
no.
compactor?
The first half is trash. I never said I like the second. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
Anyways,
So they find the medical bay, and it's the same setup
Pause.
as. Yes.
did you know that the yellow cord? This is from David in the chat. The yellow cord that they had to climb across when Wrecker gets attacked by the Dianoga is a nod to Fallen Order.
Is it what? Fallen Order?
A nod.
To Fallen
Oh.
Order.
The ropes that you can climb.
Yeah.
I did not know that. But it would make sense because technically Cal Kestis is on this planet.
Yeah, we were hoping to see little
Ooh.
Cal.
Dude,
maybe
that
out
would've
for a
been-
swim.
What if he was a guy
Sunbathing.
next to him?
Well,
Well, no, because he would be
I think,
young.
what was I talking to David before, and he was hoping that when Omega was hiding in that room, that Cal Kestis was going to jump out with a lightsaber and like defend her.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
That would have been a cool thing, but that would have been kind of out of left field though. Like,
Yeah,
for the show.
I feel like it would have been fan service, and it would have worked, but it wouldn't have served the story well.
Right.
So
Do you think we could see him at all? Like, because the next episode, like it could be like a 2-part episode where next episode is just picks up right after when they're still on Braca. So
we may see him. I don't think we'll see him be pushed to action yet.
do you think like maybe be like as they're flying away, like he's just
Maybe.
on the ground looking up?
I don't
Maybe
think
just-
he's to the point where he wants to take action yet.
Oh
in a
yeah.
similar, you know what I'm saying? In a similar way that Kanan, it took Kanan forever to start acknowledging his past as a Jedi. I don't think he would have been ready yet, especially so soon after Order 66. We all know how
Yeah.
that went for him, and it was pretty
Yep.
traumatic. So
Right.
Yeah, he would be 11 in the Bad Batch.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Really, he was that young?
That's what David said in the chat, that he would be 11 years old.
Yeah, he was young as a Padawan.
I feel like he was because the Fallen Order takes place 5 years after,
That's 16.
and so I thought he seemed. I guess because the actor is so much older than 16,
Yeah.
it just looks like the character is older. But
Yeah.
So they're in the medical bay,
Oh.
and
David said that he's 17. The game is 6 years after Order 66.
I thought it was 5, but I guess I'm wrong.
Or maybe David's wrong.
One of you is wrong. One of you's right. And that's okay.
Or maybe we're both wrong.
Yeah,
That
it's
is also a
definitely 5.5.
Or maybe
Okay,
we're both
get out,
right,
Drew.
and maybe we're both right, and one's just rounding up, and one's just saying what the number is.
This is getting very complicated.
Or you're rounding down.
Okay. All right.
So they're in the medical bay for the 5th time.
Yeah.
And so they're booting up the power, and it's literally the same setup as what we see in season 7 of Clone Wars when Rex is in the medical bay when Ahsoka brings him. So same setup, and so like again the music is intense for me. Like I'm on edge, and Tech takes this little head device that he has and puts it on Wrecker, and Wrecker's freaking out. Like, I don't want this on my head. He's super uncomfortable. Now I have a question. After he takes off the headset and he's kind of semi freaking out, just kind of like whatever, and Rex is talking to the crew, and he says
Yep.
the phrase "Order
Order
66."
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that
Triggered it.
reactivated it, or do you think that only works when it comes from Sidious?
Now, here's another option. Does it need to be execute Order 66? The whole
Right.
thing.
Right.
Like, does it require the full phrase? Because I thought the same thing. When he said that, I immediately went, oh, crap. But then he didn't immediately switch. So I don't know. I think it can be left up for interpretation. But I'm willing to bet that definitely did not help.
I was gonna say I don't think it made him do it. I think it's more so because execute Order 66 is about killing Jedi. There was no Jedi, right? So that wouldn't
Well, it's
like
it's that, but also obviously there's an aspect to it where you're hostile towards any traitors.
And it's also to make them robots. It's to completely override their free will.
Mhm.
So they automatically would kill a Jedi if they saw it, but like as we see like on Camino, like they're all completely switched over to a different way of thinking.
Yeah,
And
they
so,
follow orders.
Yeah. and so it's a more they're more robotic in a sense.
Yeah.
So we had a question in the chat um, from Jarek Atano. Is Rex the first character other than Sidious to refer to it as Order 66? And I'm inclined to say yes. I don't know if I've ever heard another character in canon be like, "Oh, that was Order 66."
I'm trying to think. Did Kanan say that?
They talk about the Purge, the Jedi Purge.
I feel
Maybe
like
Kanan did.
Kanan. I feel like in that conversation, like because Kanan is talking to Ezra about his experience when the clones turn, and then Rex comes into that conversation and says, "Hey, I took out mine with we took ours, blah blah," and like I don't know if he
People in the chat are saying,
mentioned it.
didn't Tech say it in an earlier episode of this season?
Tech might have said it. I feel like it was said a few times in that first episode.
Yeah,
I
think
swear
so.
it felt different to me though. Like when I heard Rex say it, there was something that registered inside of me that went, "This is this is something I haven't heard before." Like I don't know if I've ever heard a
I
clone
think
say this before.
it could have been the music and the intensity of the room that made it
It
like
stuck out
made
to
it
me, though.
stick out more.
Well, I think
Maybe.
they intended it to stick out to us, but I feel like
Sure.
I would have to go back. I always go back to those same episodes with when Kanan and Rex meet, like those two episodes. Like I've watched it multiple times just to like get every detail, and so I have to go back and listen to that again. But I don't know.
I don't know.
Also, to clear up, I guess you guys are both kind of right because he's 12 and not 11, and it's 5 years, not 6. So he is 17, but it's 5 years. So you guys are both right.
Sweet.
That's why fact checking is very important, people.
Yes.
But yes, Order 66. He mentions it, and do you think that because it seemed to imply that when Wreckers has that head device on and Tech is scanning his head, that's the first time Tech uses the headset. Did you get that vibe?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so my question is, do you think that also had the same effect as the Kaminoans recharging Crosshair's chip when it was it almost seems like as he was scanning it, that's when Wrecker immediately started to get hostile before he fully turned.
I think
and
it
so my
was.
question is, do you think that it caused it to kind of revamp a little bit,
So
even if it was just
yeah.
enough just to like?
I think from my point of view was that whole scene was it wasn't saying Order 66, it was just talking about it and him already having those issues struggling with it. And then when they were talking about how they were going to remove it, they were like putting it on. It was the whole action sequence of the whole thing that was it made it trigger to the point where he was like I need to I don't know, like the chip was telling him not to remove it essentially.
I think it was a chip, a subconscious chip, like fight or flight
Yeah.
reaction, where like the chip was enough in control where it was like, okay, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Like this is not good. Because like obviously the chips don't have a will. They don't have their own will. But they're
No,
meant
but
to overtake someone's mind and to change them.
it seemed like it was like listening but not listening. You know what I mean? Like it had that feeling the way they're telling that part. Like it seemed like it didn't want to get out, like or like his inner self was like, wait, I'm actually supposed to keep this in. Like, I don't know.
That's interesting.
I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I'm really frustrated. It makes for really good storytelling. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad they did it this way. But I was really frustrated when Rex finally turned so close. Like he's literally sitting on the bed.
You mean Wrecker?
Wrecker. Wrecker is literally sitting on the bed to get his chip out. He's like literally about to go under the procedure. Like the computer's warming up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it happens. Like, of course, again, that's like the best moment to have that switch happen.
Correct.
Because of storytelling. However, until his eye, until that shot where he looks up and it's on his eyes, a close up of his eyes, and you
Yeah.
can tell like, oh crap, yeah, everything's hit the fan. There was so much of me that wanted him to make it. Like I was like, there's a possibility that we're not going to see Wrecker actually snap. Like
Right.
he's going to get close, but then they're going to get him down. You know, they're going to get him down and it's going to be fine. Like there was a part of me that was like, why didn't any of you stun him? Like there were obvious signs that he was the closest he's ever been to switching again. And like no one thought, oh, maybe, I don't know, maybe we should restrain him. Maybe we should stun him. Maybe we should have one of our guys with a gun out set for stun at the ready just in case, because this is getting bad. But no. Whatever. Anyways,
Well, to be fair, Rex already had his gun set to stun.
but he didn't have it out.
I know. I'm just saying, but
Yeah.
Right.
he was ready, like to pull it out at any moment.
Yeah.
But like, obviously, I get what you're saying. But so
Anyways,
he's sitting on the bed, and Tech goes up to him and like is gonna attach a device or whatever it was, and when he reaches out, Wrecker grabs his wrist. I was like, oh no,
yep.
this is it. And you see the look on Tech's face, like he's worried or scared or whatever. And now, I didn't notice this the first time, but so later on in the episode, after everything is good to go, Wrecker was like, I tried to fight it. I really tried to fight it. And you go see that scene again when he's holding Tech's wrist. There's a pause, and he you can tell he's in his head. He's
Yeah.
fighting it, resisting. He's feeling it,
Yeah.
which is very similar to how Rex's reaction was when he got Order 66. When he was fighting it, he knew it was
Yeah.
coming, but he couldn't stop it, and he had to give out the best.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been interesting if Wrecker was able to do something similar where he like yelled like run or something like that
Yeah.
just before. It would have been him like seeing that he was pleading to like get out of there before because I was thinking, like, I don't know if we've mentioned this, but of all the people in the Bad Batch that have turned, he's the most dangerous
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's the hardest to subdue. Like,
Yeah.
If
you
Tech
know.
would have done it,
yeah, like
Ugh.
Wrecker would just like grab him in his
sit down.
sit down.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, so like it makes sense that he would be the hardest one to stop if he were to turn. So that's why they went with him in the show.
I
But
think something that we missed is when Wrecker fell, he swung and he hit his head.
he hit his head again. Yeah.
And so I think that leading up to that too, he was probably fighting that the entire time. Getting into that room, he was fighting that motion, and he was winning and losing and winning and losing. And then he also was kind of scared about going under the knife because they're afraid that he might not come back. Like they're afraid he could die, because that's what what's her name said.
Omega said, yeah.
She said that. She's like, I'm afraid like it's not gonna work. Like he could die. And I think he heard that too, so he was probably already scared about this whole thing. Because like before, he was scared the entire time leading up to this. He was like, I don't want to do it. Do we have to have surgery? Like, you know what I mean? Like he was not having a good time.
Oh, and
It's like
crazy.
when you bring like a 5-year-old to the doctor to get shot, and they're like, no.
No, been crazy.
I mean, I still kind of had that reaction internally. I don't do it externally, obviously, because I'm an adult. But
Weird flex.
I hate getting shots.
Yeah, I hate needles. They're the
So-
worst.
I don't blame him.
But what would have been crazy is if after when he fell into the water and he escaped the monster, like if in that moment is when the chip turned him,
Dude, I
and
literally
so they
thought that
pull
was
him
gonna
up
happen.
and he gets
yeah.
back on the platform and he says, "Good soldiers follow orders," and he's already turned. And
Yes,
that's when
I thought it was gonna happen. Then I'm like, oh, he turned. That's why he was able to get out, because he like went hardcore mode down there and killed the thing, and he got out. I'm like, he's turned. They're gonna pull him up. But he didn't. But I literally thought that too.
that went funny. But yeah, so he grabs the wrist of Tech.
Yep.
And there's that, a few seconds of him struggling and Tech being just terrified, and then he grabs Tech by the throat and lifts him up. And what does he say? Does he say "good soldiers follow orders," or what did he? No, he says you are in violation
Yeah.
of Order 66 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And
He
then-
basically calls them traitors.
Yeah, and then he throws Tech across the room, and that's when everyone turns around. Rex tries to stun him, and immediately Wrecker just hits his pistol out of his hand, and they just start running and hiding and stuff like that. And I think it was Echo was like, we have to get him out of this room because we
Yeah,
can't afford him to
yeah.
destroy any of this equipment. Like that was a very smart detail that they put in there because it makes sense. But it's like a lot of people wouldn't, like show writers wouldn't put that little detail in a show, which
Yeah.
is like,
Well, and that was like another thing that they said too was like Tech was like, I don't think this room is sanitary approved anymore. Like this is not. And he's like, would you rather
go back to Camino.
Yeah, and then he's like,
like-
this
He's
is
like,
good.
Point tanked. Yeah.
Yeah. This
will
is
be
good. This is
sufficient.
good. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. So they're able to get out of the room. And
You know what would have been actually would have been really funny?
Is this a coffee joke?
I mean, it's related, yeah. It would have been funny if the first thing he said after he changed was the entire Wesley Andrews ad. That's a meme waiting to happen. Anybody want to make that
I'm
Tanner?
sure they're already
in the Discord?
rendering the photo right now.
They're
and
working
on
it
upload
as
to
we
Discord
speak.
But I do believe wholeheartedly that if they had given him some Wesley Andrews coffee, he probably would have snapped out of it.
It would have been a little
Sure.
soothing.
Yeah.
Relaxing moment.
And if you're probably, I mean, if you're wondering, like, what are they talking about? Wesley Andrews, I haven't heard of that. Well, boy, have I got a treat for you, because Wesley Andrews happens to be the sponsor of today's episode, and so I figured, why not just take a quick break and listen to a word from that sponsor. Hey everyone, Andrew here. I'm pleased to tell you that the sponsor for today's episode is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. If you don't know anything about Wesley Andrews, you definitely should. They're an award-winning coffee roaster and shop in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they make fantastic coffee. The awesome thing is that they have a subscription service that gets those amazing
Oh
coffee
gosh,
beans
there's a
delivered to your door
full
on an
ad
either
in
weekly,
text mode.
bi-weekly, or a monthly basis. Unfortunately, we're
Thanks,
all
David.
being negatively affected by this virus right now. But that being said, what a better time to try some new coffee and
He does
support a
that
local
because
business. I know they'll greatly
he
appreciate
learned
it,
that
and we
we
will too.
have a
After
listener
all, using the
or a
code
viewer that
Empire
sometimes
Radio
gets
with a
on
capital E,
who
capital R
is
with no space
deaf
at
or hard
checkout.
of hearing
When
and
you start
uses
a
an
new
interpreter.
subscription at wesleyandrews.cc,
And so that's one of the
you'll
things he
get
does. He posts the
50%
whole
off your first purchase.
ad
I
so
can't
that
think of
it
a
can be
better
read
deal.
as well.
Get 50% off.
Well,
Support a local Minneapolis coffee shop.
that's
and
kind of
support your
cool.
Favorite Star
Yeah,
Wars podcast.
it's super cool.
In the words
In
of
both
Emperor
of-
Palpatine, do it.
Those ways. Do it.
Do it.
So everyone ran out of the medical bay.
To go get coffee straight out.
Something
straight to
like that.
Minneapolis.
That's what was in those tubes.
Those
Oh,
little
yeah.
big canisters.
the big canisters. It was cold brew. It was snap chilled
cold.
coffee.
Yeah.
And so Wrecker, it was interesting how Wrecker immediately turned the corner and then was shooting. Like he was hoping to catch him off guard, but obviously they were already hidden. But it was just interesting that he was already ready to just shoot before he even saw anything. But I had such a like my heart fell when Rex goes to stun him and Wrecker throws Echo in his line of fire and his stuns Echo and then a limp body crashes in the
That has to hurt so much.
like
'Cause, like,
physically
you've
and
collided.
emotionally.
Yeah. Like you've definitely collided with somebody before, and just the sheer pain that you feel. Like I've had a full-on collision with someone by accident, and it sucks. But then you imagine someone getting thrown at you, they get stunned, so it becomes dead weight almost, and they're wearing armor.
And you
not-
have
that's-
a giant maniac who's trying to kill you, walking
just
towards you as the body is coming at you.
That is a terrible time. That is a terrible time.
Yeah, so that happens. I think was a Hunter. Then he comes out and he's trying to make him fall asleep by putting him in a headlock, which was not working. And Wrecker's banging him against the wall and is about to probably kill him. And we see a warning shot hit next to him, And I'm like, hey, who is that? I'm like, I don't even remember what I was thinking about. I was like, I don't think I was thinking like, oh, it's Omega. But when it was Omega with the gun, I was like, oh no, like this is terrible. And like the question I had was like, because that was Wrecker's gun.
Yep.
Does that gun not have a stun feature on it? Because I'm like, she could have just stunned him there.
She could have.
So I was wondering if she just didn't
So it is a
know how.
It is a DC-17, which is the rifle that they gave the commandos. So it has a semi-auto and an automatic setting for sure. I would assume it has stun, but I would also assume that she did not know how to activate it.
True. Also, I
Because she
didn't
doesn't
realize
have-
that those pistols had stun.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
kind of like a standard feature for Star Wars weapons in general. I feel like.
Yeah.
So, I do want to make a comment before we get too far into this because it's about to get really, really emotional.
Yeah.
The thing that really struck me with this, for whatever reason, the choreography and the rate at which he caused damage and to the intensity that he caused damage, it felt it felt like they were actually in danger for me. Like there was it's really hard to explain, but like when you're watching a cartoon, even if it's like super well animated, there's something about it to me normally that I'm like, okay, whatever, this isn't real. But the way that they were being attacked and the way that he was throwing them around and the sense of urgency and the damage he was causing, it like crossed the threshold for me into like, oh my gosh, like he's actually, it's breaking this barrier where I'm like, oh, everything's still going to be okay, to like, oh wow, he could actually kill them. Like he is completely switched, and his sole purpose is to actually destroy them. And that and there was something about it that like it took an extra step for me, and that was the most heart-wrenching part, because there were quite a few times where I was watching, I was completely silent the whole time, like my mouth was open, but my wife and I were watching it together, and there were a few key moments where he does stuff and she literally goes, oh my gosh, like there's this shock value to it where you're like, he's not playing any games anymore. There's been a distinct change in his personality and the way that he's going after them. So I don't know, maybe you understood what I just said, maybe not, but for me, it there was so much more risk and danger in these scenes than I think I've ever seen in one of these similar scenes before.
I think it has to do with, obviously it's his size and his strength. Like obviously that makes him more threatening, and so that heightens that level of risk. But I also think it has to do with the fact that they're limited in where they can go because it's a destroyed ship, and so the hallways aren't long corridors. They're broken apart. Their ceilings have caved in, and so there's limited space for them to actually go and hide, which makes it harder to like feel a level of safety. It's kind of like, if you're playing, I don't know, like I've played the Last of Us games, and like like when you're in a certain spot, like in the level or whatever, like map, like there's limited places you can go, and like you have to be careful because like a zombie could be right there, and so like when you're in those close quarters and not a lot of options, it heightens the anxiety
intensity
when I play.
of it.
Like,
well, especially because he's in an area where he has a significant advantage, because it's like the second you knock the pistol or the rifle that has the stun setting out of your hand, it's like, oh, this is his thing. He's a brawler, and you've got Hunter, who really poses the best chance, and then Tech and Echo and Omega. And it's like, and Rex, of course, but it's like, you don't have any go-to like surefire ways of stopping him at that point. And you're right, it is very close quarters. So I don't know, that whole scene to me was just like, I really felt and got a sense of the danger. They did a good job in conveying that, because I genuinely was like, oh, they're gonna come out of this and they're actually gonna be really hurt.
yeah. And it's like, I think also it has to do with, there's like no Like he's not thinking; he's just moving
Doing.
forward for no reason. It was almost kind of like, was it Terminator 2, like with the liquid metal guy, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it was like that, where it was just nonstop. Like he was just going
Yeah.
towards the target. Like there was no thought process; it was just straight. So like, it's just like there's nothing they could do to even like talk or convince him to do anything, and he's just pushing forward, and that makes it more intense.
Right.
For me, about like that, I had the same similar reaction, and up until that point where she had the gun pointing at him and like they showed her finger on the trigger. A typical cartoon show, I'd be like, oh, it's like whatever. Like we know he's gonna be saved. It's not gonna be an issue. But because of episode 3 and how intense episode 3 was and how they literally burned people, you know, it took the whole cartoon aspect out of it and more of like just a straight up like Star Wars show and not just like a cartoon style feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a kid show. Remember, guys, this is a kid show.
It's-
PG.
Yeah. Okay.
Kids show. And when that moment was happening, I was like, wait, she could kill him right now.
Yeah.
and-
I had the
And
same
like
reaction
it
too.
actually could potentially happen. And so the storytelling was really, really good because I feel like in a normal cartoon show, I would never actually assume that could be a like, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
option,
Like, it's
yeah.
not really an option. Like, you know, he's gonna be safe. Granted, spoilers, he was, but I actually had that emotion. Like, what if she does kill him? Like, this was happening in my mind. She could kill him.
Well, it shows her finger. She
Exactly.
begins to-
She was
to grip the
going to
trigger.
do it.
Yeah.
And like, and then imagine that story arc with her killing the one clone that was like her
Yeah.
best friend. Like, imagine that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so intense. Like, her character is gonna change so much if she had to kill him.
Yeah.
You know, like I kind of want to see. Like, I wouldn't be mad at it. They actually did go that route, but they didn't. But it was a really intense moment for me. Like, just processing that whole thing really quickly. But I was like thinking through that. I
Yeah.
was like,
Like,
Yeah.
oh
it would've
wow.
been nice. It would have been nice if someone had an actual injury at the end of it.
True.
Like, cause like even if like, Wrecker shot someone in the shoulder or something like that, and there's that injury that they had to deal with for the remainder of the season, like a lasting effect from that. Like I guess that's the only like negative nitpick thing was like no one had a lasting injury
Yeah.
or serious injury, but
Concussions. They all have CTE, but you know.
they're in a medical base, so they could just get fixed.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair.
But yes, so Omega, she's just running for her life as whatever. So she crawls into her room. Wrecker just gets in. He just lifts
He
the
wrecks
door.
it.
Yes, and so yes, go ahead. Burn,
Push
burn,
your
burn.
button.
Burn, burn,
Go
burn.
ahead. Push it.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
It's
But
fine.
so she's hiding. Classic. Oh, she's hiding behind this thing, and then he lifts the thing, and then she's not there, and then she's behind another thing. Whatever. But yes, that whole scene, like, don't do this, don't do this. You're my friend, Wrecker. Like I was like, oh no.
I
this is
know.
so
She was
Oh.
like, she said, I don't want to hurt you. And I was like, I know you don't.
But shoot him in the
No.
face. Shoot him. Kill him now.
But like she had her finger on the trigger, and it was like quivering. Like she was like she was actually about to go through with shooting him.
Yep.
And like so, like this whole time, I knew someone was gonna come from behind
But did you?
and stun him. Like, but like it was still intense. I just didn't know who it was going to be. And then
there was a split second, for a fleeting moment, I legitimately thought she was going to pull the trigger.
Me too.
They drew it out just long enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like they passed the threshold for me where my brain went, "Huh, this is not going the way I thought it was going to go." Like, and all of a sudden I was faced with reality, like especially when they showed her finger on the trigger, because there's like a brief moment where her finger's on the trigger and it's flexing before he knocks it away.
Mm-hmm.
It lingers just long enough where you're like, "Oh my gosh, this could actually be a thing." And of course, then he hits it. But like, I was For
Yeah,
a brief moment, I thought it was going to go very differently.
me too.
Maybe I'm gullible, where I just
No,
wanted something
I,
more
No,
I mean,
emotionally.
I literally
Dave
just
Filoni is
explained the
just
whole
amazing
thing.
at making an episode.
Yeah.
We didn't watch it together, and we both had the same reaction. So
That's true.
clearly, it worked.
Yep. So Rex, he comes from behind and stuns everything, and everything is done, and um, they're able to get Wrecker into surgery, and his body barely fits into that thing. Like you see him laying in there, he's just like barely fitting in there. But
Yeah.
and how he comes out, and normally they would wake up right away, kind of like how Rex woke up right away when he was done with his surgery, and so, but he didn't wake up, and so everyone was kind of worried, like he's alive, but we just have to wait, and so, and it was a very touching moment when Rex says, take the girl up top for some fresh air, and Omega's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm staying with my friend until he wakes up.
I'm
And
not
like,
going anywhere. And she pulls the chair up. It was pretty
Yeah.
intense
I
moment.
was like,
Yeah.
"Oh," like it was so like heart wrenching, but like so sweet, like how close she is with these. Like this whole episode is to show like how
close those
connected-
two are. Like
how
Yeah.
close those two are, and how like emotional like she's like invested in like this group. Because like
even
though they have-
after he almost killed her, she still
Yeah.
was
Well,
like,
she's able to see through that and
Mhm.
understand that it's not him. It's she can't blame him. It's
Right.
this chip. And I think that's a really mature and a really incredible thing to see from someone who's so young in the show too. Because like I honestly expected her to be a little
Disheartened.
a little bit
Yeah.
more shaken up. Because she almost died at his hands, but for her to just immediately be like, nope, he's my friend. Whatever happened doesn't matter. I'm going to stick by him because that's what he deserves. Like that sort of a thing. I thought it was really touching.
and so then the next scene is she's there. I think she's like sleeping or whatever, like with her head on the bed or whatever, and his hand lifts up and touches her head, and everything's good. He's good to go, and then everyone then has the surgery after that. And I don't know if you noticed this little detail, but maybe Hunter at this point didn't have his surgery yet, but his perfect long flowing hair, there was not a bald spot on the side of his head. Like they didn't want to mess up his hair like the animators. So like
No, of
it
course
was
not.
it was just funny. I'm like I wonder if they like he has a bald spot on the side of his head, but like
I
They
mean,
just left it.
maybe he does, but his thing was covering it.
the
I will s-
headband.
Yeah, because
Are we gonna
if you
gloss over?
No, I'm
Then-
just saying the whole hair thing.
Oh, gotcha.
I was like this whole time when I saw everyone person, they had a scar on their head to patch, and I was like
Yeah.
waiting, like we haven't seen Hunter yet. And then when we goes to Hunter waiting outside, I was like, does he have a patch?
Yeah, but
on
They
when
his
you-
said
did-
they glued it back on, just stuck his hair back on.
did you see though when he was talking to Rex, his headband and the band-aid was sticking out a little bit under his headband.
head? Oh, it was?
Yeah, it
Ooh,
was.
Maybe he covered it up.
Yeah, because you could see like there was a part of the band-aid was sticking out underneath it, so it was there. He did get the surgery. Those minor details, Jeremiah. You'll go back and see it and be like, dang it.
Yep. So then after this, like, or after everyone's being seen with their scars or whatever, Wrecker gets up and talks to
Mm-hmm.
Omega, and he expresses his heart, like he apologized, and like I tried to resist it, and like it's like so heart wrenching, and how she's like, it's okay, it wasn't your fault, blah blah blah, and then she reaches into her bag and pulls out the popcorn, and everyone starts crying because it's so sweet,
Mhm.
and she's like, the mission is over, like.
We gotta
We
keep our
just-
tradition.
Keep our tradition. Like it was just so.
They didn't
Gross.
have to do that, man.
No, they had to. do
I'm glad they did, but dang,
It was pretty good.
that was a sucker punch straight into my heart.
Yep.
My heart.
Oh, something that I missed earlier, but something Rex said about. He says not a lot of clones don't have like Order 66 doesn't like work in them. Like it's rare for this to happen, implying that he knows of other clones
That it didn't work for.
that it didn't work with.
Hmm.
And so that being said, coming into the next scene, because he also said he hasn't been on this end of seeing a surgery done. So
This is
he
the first time
himself-
doing it.
he himself has not removed a chip from someone, from a clone. But in this next scene with Hunter and Rex, Rex is, communicating with someone like, I'll meet you at the rendezvous point somewhere. And so I'm wondering if that's a clone that had a faulty, like the chip didn't work, or if maybe that was Gregor who had, brain damage and maybe his chip didn't work. And so he's already in contact with Gregor. But I don't know, like, who do you think Rex was? Because there's nothing to go off of on this. Like, he says
Right.
he's just talking to his wrist. But
Everyone's
this is
saying
like
Gregor
it's
in the
like-
chat.
this is like the fourth time that we have like a mystery person on the other end of
Yeah.
a thing. Like,
I mean, I do not think it's Ahsoka.
No, I think it's
Bail
Gregor.
Organa.
Okay, well,
I don't think it's Bail Organa. I think it's either another clone or it's the Martez sisters. For whatever reason, they're still working together as kind of like a little. I mean, but then again, he mentions that there are others out there fighting, and so
it's
it
probably
does
just
imply he's
the
connected to
original rebel,
Yeah.
like part of the rebels. Or
yeah, I mean,
whatever.
it does imply that he's connected to at least a small cell.
do you think it could be Saw?
Could be.
It's
really,
possible.
at anybody could
But
be on the other end of
I
that.
feel
and
like-
wouldn't necessarily be surprised.
Yeah, but I feel like if it was Saw, he would have told him about the clones that didn't kill him. Rex
Yeah.
would already knew, right? So I don't think it's
Yeah.
Saw, but it's probably some sort of
Do
cell.
you think it's someone we know? Or do you think it's someone
I
a new
don't.
character?
I don't know if it matters
to
right
kinda-
now.
to kind of bounce off of that. I don't know if we're going to see him again.
I don't know.
That's the thing. Like,
But except
I
at
was
the
hoping
end,
he was-
though, he did say,
Yeah.
"If you ever need us, you know how to get in touch with us." So
Yeah.
I think we will see him again.
maybe not in
Um,
this season, or maybe at the end of this season. But
I feel like what could happen is there's going to be a climax of like a major, like the big climax of the season, like the big mission that they're going to go on where they're going to need help, or Rex is on a big mission. He gets in over his head and needs to call them. Like, there's going to be like a big thing where that could happen. That's where we'd see them cross paths again.
Right.
Now, we don't know if there's going to be a season 2 or not. Like, if there is
Right.
going to be season 2, I think we'll definitely see Rex then.
yeah,
Sure.
But if this is a one and done season, like,
then we'll have to see him again because
I feel like
they
we would have
literally
to see him
just say
again.
that. So
yeah, because they're not going to hire the voice actor for
Shut
Yeah,
your
for
mouth.
Rex just for one episode. Like,
oh yeah,
Literally making my joke, my own joke. It is interesting because please correct me if I'm wrong because I don't fully remember. But have we seen most of the trailers at this point?
I think at this point we've seen everything. The last thing we didn't
If
see was
not,
Rex.
I think we haven't seen like a small fraction of it
I have to go back and watch.
because I would wager
the only
that
thing
we've seen at least like 90% of the trailer.
Oh, 100%.
the only scene that I can think of that we haven't seen is there's the part where we were thinking it was like the palace on Naboo or something, and like there's a crowd outside and like one of those like walker
Oh
things
yeah,
moving through. So we haven't seen that yet.
yeah.
Um,
Because
I-
the reason I'm saying this is because we have now seen all of the scenes that we had been given with Rex in them, which was not very many,
Right.
but we've seen that already.
Yeah.
And so like as much as I wanted Rex to be a part of this thing, like it does feel like at least for a little while
He's done.
they're really not gonna rely on him at all.
Yeah.
You know, because
Right.
like there was a part of me that really wanted when they were having the dialogue about like it would be cool if you could come join us, you know, and Hunter's like, we still don't know what we're doing. I don't know what's best for my squad right now. Those are part of me that really, really wanted them to join. and just be like, dude, just join the Rebel Alliance. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna probably end up doing that anyways.
I
if
think
you're
the
alive.
biggest thing though, what they're trying to get Crosshair back. That's what he
Oh,
was
sure,
meaning
sure.
by
Yeah.
like we have things that aren't done yet.
Yeah.
That's they want to, now that they don't have their chips, they know how to remove the chips without killing people. Their next part of this story is getting their boy back.
Do you think-
So
Do you think we'll see Crosshair next episode?
I really hope
Yes.
so.
Because
Also-
how the show episode ends is with the guild, the Scrapper Guild, saying we got to contact the Empire. So
yes.
the Empire is looking for them.
Yeah,
Crosshair just could get the call to come in.
he could show up
Maybe.
like pretty quick here.
Yeah, Daddy Palps in the chat also mentioned that there was a scene where Omega was shooting her bow. I think it was the Black Sun gang or someone. There's a scene in the trailer where she's like,
I remember she's shooting it, but I was kind of figured that was last episode when.
I don't think we've seen it yet.
Okay.
Okay.
But my question is, so they know how to get the chips out.
Mm-hmm.
They're also at this moment in time bound to that med bay, right? They don't have a way. Sure, it's possible that tech could figure something out, but they don't have a way to do this on the go yet, right?
Right.
I'm imagining that Crosshair is going to show up next episode. So within the next 2 episodes, my question is, being just about halfway through the season right now, do you think that they will be able to get Crosshair's chip out this early?
No.
Heck no.
You don't?
No.
I think what's going to happen is the way it's going to happen is they're going to go back to Camino, and they're going to use a medical bay there to save him.
I think it's gonna have to do with the 2 people on Camino that also don't want the clones to end. Somehow we gotta get back to that story arc. I have a hunch. I'm just gonna say this now. I feel like this is hunch time. But
Okay. Go ahead.
from that call, we're gonna get Crosshair receiving that call, and like just their point of view for that whole next episode, and maybe we won't even see the Bad Batch.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Well, that's why I said the next 2 episodes, because there's a part of me that doesn't believe they're going to come into contact with each other next episode.
Yeah,
Right.
I think it's going to be the following episode, so episode 9,
but they still
8.
no 9 because we're on 7.
Yeah.
8 will be next week, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
which,
that's
which
still
would be an
like
interesting transition into to build up for the end of the season, though.
yeah, that's true.
So
It's
I
possible.
don't know, man. This season has shown me enough that they're willing to go the predictable route, but also really
Changing it a
willing
lot.
to change it. Yeah, and so like the more and more episodes I see, the less I feel confident in making certain speculations because I'm beginning to feel that there's a genuine sense that they might actually do something. Just straight out
Now,
of left
granted,
field.
you say that, but then last week we both made a prediction that was right, so maybe you should just make a prediction.
I don't know if I can be right that this many times in a row.
Well,
I've
that's
never been
true.
right like this twice.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
I-
You don't want to push
you
your
know.
luck. I get it.
yeah,
And the thing is, like, we don't know the fate of anyone, so anything could happen to anyone any moment. Like,
True.
that's true.
That's yeah.
like
That's why I didn't. That's another reason why it wouldn't have surprised me necessarily that like wreck or hunt or heavy could have
It's
what?
okay.
Wrecker.
heavy wrecker. It wouldn't have surprised me if Wrecker would have died, because we don't know where these people are. We don't see them ever again. So
Do you think someone from the Bad Batch will die by the end of the season?
I think we might lose someone. I don't know who.
Omega.
No, they're not gonna kill Omega.
I will
I-
find Dave Filoni's address and I will go.
And you would ask him
knock
for
on
a
his
job.
door.
Well,
We already know that.
we know a guy who can get anyone's address.
Okay, well, that is for.
I'm gonna go to his house and I'm gonna give him a piece of my mind. I'm gonna yell him out on his front porch if he kills off Omega.
Like, are you gonna ask where did Grogu come from? Because that's my real question.
No, I'm gonna
Oh.
be too angry.
Jane, calm
No,
down.
you're gonna fanboy like, oh, I stay for
Yeah,
Halloween."
No,
I don't-
I'm not.
Can you
Dude,
sign my
Listen,
whatever?
Chest.
right now, Omega is far surpassing in
Grogu.
terms of in terms of cuteness and how much I like them. Far surpasses Grogu.
I think that it helps that she speaks English.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for sure. But it's like
Like we're able to.
every episode, I
yeah.
just want to continue to protect her. As like a
She
little
doesn't need
sister.
protecting. She
Well,
can handle
no,
her
but
own.
it's-
Okay.
Okay, well, I was
She's
just telling you how I
strong.
feel.
Oh, okay.
Don't disqualify my feelings.
That's fair. My bad. My
jerk.
bad. My bad. My bad. My bad.
Anyways,
Anyway, end of the episode, we see 2 Darth Revan. So what are our theories about that?
well, they're not Darth Revans.
They're definitely. I don't even know anything about EU, and when
Well,
I saw
that's
them,
the
I'm like,
reason
that's
wh-
definitely
That's
2
not
Darth Revans.
No, it's 2 Scrapper Guild guys who happen to look. Their masks happen to look like Revan. No, they're gonna call the Empire.
they're.
They said that.
What are they? What is like the Sith Eternal? What are like? They're like Revan cultists, like members. Like they just like worship Revan and.
I mean, I'd be fine with it if
If that makes Revan more canon.
Yeah, isn't
Right.
Revan like a clone anyway?
no,
I thought he was a clone or something. Like
no.
he was like a Sith, and then they cloned him, and he was a Jedi, and then he woke up, and then like
What? No. He was a Jedi. He got brainwashed by Vitiate, the Sith Emperor, who was like super powerful. You remember the one that David brought up in our
yeah.
verses, in our Imperial Coliseum? So he and Malik were Jedi who
Yeah.
led a faction of Jedi into the Mandalorian Wars
Mm-hmm.
because the Jedi didn't want to be a part of it. They started wiping the floor with the Mandalorians, and then they got captured by Vitiate, and he literally brainwashed them into being Sith. And then they
Oh.
were Sith for some time, and then he turned back into a Jedi.
He
'cause
flip
he
flops
lost
like
his
a couple
memory.
times, right?
Yeah. Right.
No, I thought for some reason I thought he was a clone of like a Sith, and then he became a Jedi, and then he found out that his past clone self was a real self.
I
No,
think
no,
you're
he just
thinking-
remembered that he was
Because-
a Sith.
Because I was thinking maybe these are all clones of
No.
of Revan, and they just all wearing the same.
I look down and I see David. Oh yeah, bonus EU with Andrew episode.
Yeah, I was like, this episode's going down a path I can't follow.
No. It's
Oh.
not Revan. There's
Okay.
no way.
No.
There's no. I mean, it could be Revanites, but
Or maybe it's just them like saying, "Hey, we're thinking about Revan in a
Could.
future TV series."
Live action
Here-
with Dave
here's some-
Filoni and John Favreau.
here's
bro,
some-
give me
here's some-
let Revan live action. I'll be content for the rest of my life.
the
here's
rest
some-
of your whole life. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's all it takes. Dave Filoni, you heard it here
I mean,
first.
just give me a good Revan
What if
show.
they kill off Omega? You show up at Dave Filoni's door, and he says like, "I'm making a live action Revan."
Yeah, he's like, hold up.
adaptation."
I've been listening. Here's the script to the live action Revan. What would you say to him?
Would you forgive him then?
Would you give him a
It would
hug?
take-
Would
it
you
would
kiss
take
him
a
on the
little time.
face?
No, why would
let
I-
me,
no.
Let me read the script first, and then I'll tell you.
No, I mean, I would have to go through the grieving process,
You'd
but
be
then
like,
it would be okay.
yeah, okay.
So
All right. So socials, might as well jump into that.
yeah, let's fly on over to the last part of the episode, shall we?
Yes.
Oh,
You have it now?
Yeah, I added it just
I
a
was
second
hoping
ago.
you were gonna do your voice thing. Again.
Nah, I'm not doing that.
Which we haven't heard your Yoda impression yet. Is that,
Yeah,
when is that gonna happen?
David's been
It's on
talking about, but that's
Tuesday.
a Tuesday episode. I told
It's a
him
Tuesday
that.
thing,
This
Jeremiah.
isn't Tuesday. This is
I thought you were gonna
Friday.
do it last
when-
episode, but whatever.
when is your Yoda impression?
I never signed up for it like you did.
Oh
so
wow, he asked us all.
And I said I can't do it.
he asked if we could, and I said no.
Okay, all right. You know what? Let's talk about our socials. So we're on.
How did he ask us, Andrew?
He asked us via a voicemail,
Ooh.
and it's one of our favorite things that we do. You
Yep.
can send in a up to minute long voicemail a few different ways. We'll talk about that in a second. But you can send us in a voicemail. We get it. We'll listen to it, and we'll play it on air, unless it's not family friendly or you ask us not to, which is a thing. Like if you want to ask us a question, say, hey, don't play it on the air. I don't want my voice out there, but answer my questions. We'll do that too.
That does
Uh,
happen.
It does happen,
That has
and we're
happened.
fine with that. It's still fun. So there is a link underneath. If you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, there is a link underneath your player, especially if you're on Spotify, Google Podcast, or Apple Podcast. There's a link that you can click that takes you straight there to leave us a voicemail. Also, if you go on to Instagram at Empire Radio Podcast in the link in our bio, if you click that, there's a landing page with links to all of our socials in it, as well as a link to leave us a voicemail. Same thing on twitch.tv/Empire Radio. There's a link in our description there.
Yeah, if you
That
go
is
to
this-
the About Us,
yeah,
it's all there.
It's the same link. It has everything in it. So it's got our Instagram at Empire Radio in it, Facebook at Empire Radio. Excuse me, both of those are Empire Radio Podcast. Instagram, Facebook at Empire Radio Podcast, YouTube, Empire Radio, a Star Wars podcast, twitch.tv/Empire Radio. And last but surely not least, we have a Discord as well that you for sure want to join because it's a party. We have a lot of fun, and all we do is talk about Star Wars.
Yeah.
With the occasional tangents, inevitable tangents here and there to other things. But yeah, going back to Twitch really quickly. If you're listening to the audio only version, and you're like, "Why? What do you do on Twitch?" Well, we happen to stream the recordings of these fully with video every Tuesday and Friday, as long as the Bad Batch is running, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Twitch.tv/Empire Radio, and join the party. We've already mentioned stuff in the chat before, and Drew and I had the chat up. We're watching it, and especially on some of the less serious episodes, we will interact with the chat a lot. So it's a great way to interact with us personally. And then when we're not recording, Discord is the best way for sure. So
Yes.
go check all those out.
Sweet.
Hit us up. Let's connect. Join the Discord, please. If you're gonna do
Join the
one of these
Discord.
things, join the Discord for sure.
Yes.
It's gonna be where you're gonna have the most fun.
For sure.
So,
Fun.
It's a banger.
Anything else?
no.
Did
I
we
think that's
rank
it.
this episode?
10 out of 10 lightsabers.
Yeah.
Is that yours?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
going-
mine
I'm going,
too.
I'm
It's-
going 9.5 just because I think there's gonna be a better episode.
Well, there can be more than one perfect episode.
True.
Okay, fine. It's a 10. It's a 10.
Okay, good.
It's a 10.
It's a 10 for me as well
It's a 10.
because it was by far right now my favorite episode, and I literally cannot wait to go home and watch it again. I love this episode. So
Sweet.
Cool. All right, so
alrighty.
this has been another rad episode of Empire
Oh my
Radio.
gosh.
I'm Jeremiah,
I'm Drew.
And I'm Andrew.
and may the force be with you.
Always.
Always.